What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Today, I want to talk to you about another Green Hornet fan film that you can find on YouTube. This is by Ape Prime Productions. Just Google Green Hornet pilot Ape Prime Productions and you'll find it pretty easily. This was about 23 minutes long with about 3 minutes of credits. And I liked this pretty well. There are some issues that I have with it. This opens with a couple of ladies going out clubbing, and then they are roofied by some guys, and these guys work for a Russian lady named Vicky who wants to sell these ladies into slavery, and it's about 10 minutes before we even see the Green Hornet and Kato. And then there's about 7 minutes of fighting before we see Kato's sister, who is also part of this operation. And out of a 23-minute story, that is not enough time spent on the Green Hornet. I was thinking of some other superhero shows and their pilot episodes and how soon you get to the main character. Arrow was one that came to mind. We see Oliver Queen seconds after the series begins, and we pretty much immediately know what his deal is. And there's a lot of stuff that's shrouded in mystery there, but we immediately get to know the character, and we get to spend a whole lot of time with him over the course of a 45-minute pilot. Lois and Clark, you pretty much immediately get to see Superman, and that's in an hour-and-a-half long pilot. Here, in 23 minutes, about half of it, you don't get to see the main character. That's kind of a problem. I think you could have opened with these ladies waking up in the cage, and you don't have to spend 3 or 4 minutes with them dancing with the loud music going on. You could cut all of that. And I kind of see what they're doing here. They want to show ladies dancing in a sexy way in a club. That's going to get more views, maybe. I don't know. But for the economy of story, I think you could cut all of that. I think you could open with these ladies waking up in the cages, which I understand that they're going to be sold into slavery, but I don't understand what's going on when, I guess our main lady wakes up, she's topless, and then she puts a shirt back on, and then there's a couple other ladies. One of the others, I think, is topless. One of them is in her bra, and they're wearing pants. When she wakes up, she is wearing pants, so it's not like they were raped in their sleep, which is what I first thought. So then I'm thinking, why are they topless? Why did these bad guys take their shirts off but then leave the rest of their clothes on? That's a little weird, and I'm wondering if it's just so that we can show some almost topless shots because they are covered up. The cameras and the angles are done in such a way where you're not actually seeing any nudity because this is something that's on YouTube and that would get this thing taken down. But otherwise, you do get quite a few F-bombs dropped. So this is in some ways a tame R, or in other ways a tame PG-13 because you get quite a few F-bombs, and as I understand it, one F-bomb will be fine in a PG-13, but more than one will turn it into an R-rated thing. So if this was on TV, you wouldn't have any of that, but then no nudity, and as near as I can tell, you didn't even need the partial nudity. You didn't need to say, look, she's topless and now she's putting on a shirt, but you don't see anything. I didn't really understand what was going on there. Maybe if I watched it again, I would understand it a little better. But like I said, most of this is fight scenes, and the fight scenes look really good. I said this when I was talking about the French Man of Steel Green Hornet fan film last week, where it looks good, but there's not a whole lot for me to talk about here because over half of this is characters fighting each other, and I want to talk a little bit more about story. That's usually what I talk about when I'm reviewing something. And I said last week, I'm very uncomfortable talking about fan films because I understand you have a very limited budget, and this is something I would not be able to do. I would be horrible if I made a fan film. So I understand that this stuff, especially this here, looks really good. The production value here looks very good. This is set in the present day, which that's a little bit of a deal breaker for me. I prefer the pulp characters like the Spirit and the Shadow and the Phantom and Green Hornet to be set in the 1930s. I understand with the fan film why they do it. It's easier for these characters to dress in clothes that they have that are available in the year 2018 than it is to dress in clothes that you would have to find that were available in the 1930s. I understand that. I do wish this was set in the 1930s, though. I do wish we didn't have so many F-bombs and the Green Hornet throwing the bird at the bad guys. I wish that it was in the spirit of the 1930s, but I can see why they didn't do that. I do wish that this introduced our main characters a little earlier. Maybe within 3 minutes of a 23-minute episode, we could get to see the Green Hornet and Kato, and then 18 minutes in, we see Kato's sister, who is also Kato. I thought that was an interesting development, that there is more than one Kato here helping Green Hornet. I wish we could see more of that. With a fan film, you can actually spend some time with our characters hanging out in the Hornet Cave, or whatever it's called, talking about their plan for tonight. Okay, so-and-so has kidnapped these ladies, and we need to stop them from killing these people, or something like that, or selling them into slavery. The bad guy kills one of the ladies just to show that she means business, which is weird, because if you're selling them, you don't want to damage your product, but that's weird. With your limited budget, if you don't want to spend all of your time on a fight scene, which is going to be very difficult to film, you could very easily just have 3 characters in the car talking about what's our plan for tonight. We need to stake out these people, figure out what's going on, and that would be cheaper and easier to film. But I guess they were more concerned with, we want this fight to look really good, and we want to show a lot of this fight stuff. So if we were to do more of this, then this would bring more people in. But I'd like to get to know these characters a little bit more, because someone who doesn't know anything about the Green Hornet is going to come in, and they're going to see that Green Hornet is trying to make these ladies who have been kidnapped understand he is also a bad guy. He didn't come here to save them. He is a bad guy. But they called the cops before he starts yelling at these ladies, saying, "I'm a bad guy. I'm not here to save you." And he says, "Wait, look, the cops are coming." And so he runs away, and then he's kind of moping about that, and male Kato says, "This only works if they think that we're the bad guys." And if you don't know anything about Green Hornet, why? Why do they pretend like they're the bad guys? And I've seen multiple different explanations for that, depending on the Green Hornet version that you are looking at. I wish we had a little bit more of that. Why are they pretending like they're bad guys? Why does this only work if they're pretending like they're bad guys? I understand that is the Green Hornet's thing, but there are multiple superheroes out there who don't pretend like they're bad guys. So why are these guys pretending like they're bad guys here in this version in 2018? I would like to spend more time with these characters, and that's something you could very easily do with a limited budget and limited fight choreography. The fight choreography does look good, and you do want to showcase some of that if you are good at that, and they are, but I'd like to see a little bit more of these guys just talking with each other, because the banter between them after they've dealt with all the bad guys looks really good, sounds really good, but I wish that we had a little bit more of them just as people talking to each other. We get some of that at the very end, and I don't think that it's enough. So I like what we have here. I wish that the ratio is flipped. Instead of 80% fight scene and we don't even get to see Green Hornet and Kato until 10 minutes in, I wish that we saw them a little earlier. I wish we got more of them and less of, here's some sexy ladies dancing and then they get kidnapped and then we finally get to see Green Hornet and Kato. That's just my personal opinion, but I do think this looks really good, and if you, I don't know if their plan was to like submit this to a network and say, hey, we'd like to do a Green Hornet show, or if they were just doing this as a labor of love. I'm assuming labor of love, and I don't think they did any more Green Hornet fan films, but they are still doing content. About 2 months ago was their most recent video, but this was done 2018 is when this came out, so they are still doing stuff, so you can go check them out if you want. Ape Prime Productions is the ones who did this. So I will be talking about another Green Hornet thing next week. In the meantime, you can check me out doing some other stuff later this week. In the meantime, I will see you guys later. Have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.